everybody. This is another Crochet with Cris tutorial, and I am your host, Cris. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this lovely bow. I have made these bows for a very long time, and I've never really seen a pattern for them. A lot of people make their bows just flat, but as you can see, this bow is 2 layers, so it is more 3D, and can be easily fluffed and made more puffy. I have used these for hair ties, hat clips, headbands, embellishing hats, and like on the end of scarves. They're just adorable and they work up in less than 10 minutes. They're great for using small scraps of yarn. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. For the tutorial I'm using a size 9 eye hook. Not sure if you can see that or not. And just some standard worsted weight yarn. I actually believe this is just Red Heart brand in a gray. Nothing spectacular. Now this bow can be made bigger, but you have to accommodate the width. Otherwise the ends of the bow get too floppy because they're too thin. This tutorial does not cover how to enlarge the bow, but only make this standard bow that's between 2 to 3 inches wide. So to do this, you don't need a huge tail on this end, maybe about 6-7 inches. And we're going to start with a slip knot. This tutorial does assume that you know how to crochet. So we are going to chain 20 to get started. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. So now we have a chain 20. Now we're getting ready to work row 1. Row 1 will end up being 19 half double crochets. Now the trick with row 1 is that a lot of the times you just crochet into one of the loops of the front of the chain to do your row 1. This one is a little different because it is something I like to do if I'm not going to edge the piece. So you'll see on the front of the chain is that standard V shape of the 2 loops. If you begin to turn the chain a little bit, you'll see there's a 3rd loop on the back. It forms a little bump. So you're going to go into the 2nd bump from the hook. So the first bump is the one right up where the yarn is going to the hook. The 2nd bump is down here. So we're going to half double crochet into that bump. Maybe. It may be a little awkward at first if it's not something that you've done. And I will show you after I do a few stitches here. Basically what you want to do is half double crochet down every bump to the end of the chain, and that will be row 1. As I said, this is a technique that I use when I make pieces that I'm not going to edge. I would like a nice clean look on the bottom side without having to go around the piece. So what I'm doing is I continue just a half double crochet down the bump. And then once I finish a few more here, I will show you what that looks like. Oops. Split my yarn. All right, I have enough. As you see, this is what the top looks like. You're very familiar with that. You have your V shape. But if you look at the bottom, when you go into the bump, you have that exact same V shape. It's very clean looking. There's no pulling here. And it makes a really nice squared off piece. And this bow is one of those things where you're going to want the bottom side to look just as clean as the top side. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this row. When I come back, I will have completed 19 half double crochets down the bump of the foundation chain. All right, I am back, and this is what I have so far. I just have half double crochet down the bump of the foundation chain. This is the top, and that is the bottom. Looks nice and crisp, doesn't it? What that's going to do is just, again, going to keep us from having to go back and make it look nice and clean. So we're ready to go up and go to row 2. So we are going to chain 1. This chain 1 does not count towards a stitch. We're going to turn the work. Now I'm going to do a half double crochet, and I'm going to go into the first stitch. Normally when you're working, you'd go into here, but we are actually going to go into this first stitch because we are not counting the chain 1 as a half double crochet. So now we're going to finish row 2 by simply half double crocheting down the piece. Now as you do it, you're going to be going into both stitches on top. You are not going to go into the front or the back loop only. If you did that, you would end up with a little bit of a ridge down your work, and you may like that, you may not. Mix it up as you want. I mean, it's a very simple bow. You can make it look however you want. So I am just cruising right along here, going down. 1 half double crochet in every half double crochet down. All right. I'm having some trouble getting my ball of yarn to unwind over here as I'm working. It's stuck on my knitting needles. I'll put it over in that container. All right, so we've almost gone down row 2, and we've actually only been working on this for about 6 minutes. I mean, I've been talking a lot and some interruptions here and there, so that's not bad. You know, I want to make sure that, you know, I said it could be done in under 10, and I do talk a lot. So here we are, we're coming up to the end of row 2. We did that, what, about 2 minutes, no big deal. I'm going to go ahead and make sure I go into that last stitch. And now just like row 2, when we go up to row 3, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to turn, and then we're going to half double crochet into that first stitch here because we're not counting the chain 1 as a half double crochet. So what we're going to do, we're going to finish up row 3, and I will meet you back here when we are all done with that, and we'll be ready to start assembling the bow. Do not finish your work off at the end of row 3. Just like I said, pause your video, and I will be right back. All right, and I am back. What I have done now, I have finished 3 rows of half double crochet, 19 half double crochet per row. Now, you should have a relatively rectangle piece. It should not be slanting outward or inward. If it is slanting in either direction, count the number of half double crochets in each row and make sure they are the same. If they are the same and you still have a pretty wonky looking piece, go ahead. You can send me a message. You can put a comment below, and we can work through it together just to make sure that you get your lovely bow. But if you are ready to move on and your piece looks like this, what you need to do is, if you will note, this is the starting tail. We ended on the same side. However, I have not cut this tail yet. So I'm going to go ahead and put my hook in, and I'm going to turn it sideways like this, and I'm going to pick up the bottom flap and just roll it over. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert my hook in both sides of the material at the end. Whoop, helps if I have it on camera, doesn't it? I'm just inserting my hook through both sides, pulling it through, then single crocheting. We're going to single crochet down this little short seam, which is about 4 single crochets. As you do them, make sure you are getting material at the edge of both sides. You're creating a seam. Don't worry, it does not have to be perfect because this seam is going to be covered up. I almost got a little too sloppy though. And then once you get, it's going to be roughly 4 single crochets down to the edge to this other tail. You're going to leave about 2 foot, about 1.5 feet, 2 foot tail, and you're going to cut your yarn. Now there's a reason for leaving it that long. Don't worry. Alright, so I've cut my yarn, and now I'm going to yarn over and pull it through. Pull it nice and snug. Now what you should have left is a ring. And what you're going to do You're pretty much done with your hook, so you can set that off to the side. We're going to squish this down. The seam's on the outside, but you want it to where it's about halfway between. This is the middle of your bow. Harder, make a bow. Sorry. So yeah, so we're going to pull that out a little bit. Seams on top, roughly in the middle. Looks good to me. So you're going to take the really long tail. You're going to tuck the starting one away. I just usually grab onto it and hold onto it while I'm working. And we're going to squish this down in the middle. We're going to take that long tail. We're going to start wrapping it in the middle. Make sure you're going over the seam and pulling it tight. And you're going to need to wrap it probably 20 or so times to give a nice little knot in the middle. I didn't apparently leave my tail long enough. It's like this. Okay. And you see in the back, my seam is covered. When I'm ready to tie it off, I have it looking the way I want. I'm just going to take the starting tail and the last part of the ending tail. I'm just going to tie a quick knot together. And I have my bow. Okay, let me squish that out. Shape it. So if you are going to put it onto a clip or glue it onto barrette, you can take these tails, weave them in just behind here, and cut them off close, and then do whatever you need. In the case of the cloche, I use these two tails to sew it onto the hat. And that is a tutorial for a very easy 3D looking bow. I hope you've enjoyed. Please be sure to comment or thumbs up. Let me know if there's anything else I can do to make these tutorials better. If you have a request for a tutorial, do just drop a comment below and I would love to hear from you. Thank you again for watching. Have a great day, everybody.